It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
Hey, thanks for joining us for another weekly cup of coffee from Slumberland at the Lake. I'm Wild Will.
I'm Uncle Chris.
Uncle Chris, Camden County, still no budget.
That's kind of messed up over there, right?
Yeah, we're going to tell you about that special meeting on Monday I attended, plus deadline for local candidate filings. And hey, we have a couple of challengers for big seat in Osage Beach.
I saw that.
Tell you about all of that. Plus, hey, Osage Beach, they're considering a half-cent tax increase to fund dispatch, police, and ambulance. That and a whole lot more. New boat ramp, Ozark Law Season 2 officially hits the airways. Missouri minimum wage increase, plus we got our best seat in the house winner. We'll tell you about that and a whole lot more on this week's Cup of Coffee.
Hey everybody, it's Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. It's a new year, and I hope for your resolution, you've got great sleep on your list. And we can help you out in every facet. We have sleep systems, pillows, sheets, the whole 9 yards, and they're all on sale at Slumberland Furniture. We even do 0% financing for up to 60 months. That's right, great deals and awesome financing. Come see us at Slumberland Furniture, where we're bringing happy home.
A cup of coffee as we wake up, in the car, or right here on Lake TV with Will and Chris. Kind of like driving, we do it every single day.
But we shouldn't do it while distracted. Did you know that drivers who text are 23 times more likely to be in a crash? So keep your eyes on the road and always remember to buckle up and put your phones down.
This Drive Safe, Boat Safe message brought to you by Price and Randall Injury Attorneys.
Now back to your cup of coffee with Will and Chris.
Alrighty, as we get started, another reminder to boat safe, drive safe all year long. And although, yes, we're in the dead of winter, Uncle Chris, it won't be long before it'll be boat season. It sneaks up on us, right?
Kind of warm this week, too. I mean, I bet we'll see a few boats out this week when the temperatures are up in the 60s and 70s.
And it always kind of blows my mind. Even when it's cold, you'll still see fishing boats out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even when it's like rainy, snowy, below freezing, they're out. Those people are dedicated. No
doubt. So as we get started, this week's cup of coffee, if you noticed last week, our big story of the week was the Camden County. The commission had questioned Auditor Jimmy Laughlin's proposed 2026 budget. Initially, there were some big cuts about that. Last week, we talked about the concerns in those cuts. We talked about the 2007 half-cent tax increase levy that generated $92 million.
$92 million.
We talked about the 2013 use tax, supposed to be dedicated strictly to road and bridge. And we were waiting for a revised budget from Auditor Laughlin to the commissioners. Friday, there were some back and forth and discrepancies between the commission and Auditor Laughlin's office. And the real questions that the commission were saying is, hey, how much revenue did Camden County collect in 2025? How much expense did Camden County incur in 2025? And what is the proposed projected revenue for Camden County of 2026? And lastly, how did you come up with the projected amounts?
Right.
Those were the four questions. And so they got three of those answered. Question one, how much revenue did Camden County collect in 25? $42 million.
Okay.
To the question of how much expense did Camden County incur in 2025, the answer, $41 million.
Okay.
So they had a $1 million surplus, and the budget was balanced.
You think that's good?
Correct. But what was the proposed projected revenue for Camden County of 2026? Something happened. It goes down to $35 million. So the county is projecting there will be a $7 million decline in revenue in 2026. In regards to how they came up with the projected amount of $35 million, that's where the answers were very unclear. Camden County still today has not finalized their 2026 budget. They had a special budget appropriation meeting in Camden County Monday, January 5th. We were there, and it was actually very unproductive in regards to moving closer to a budget for 2026.
Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, it seemed like no one really knew what was going on. Questions were unclear. I do know that the county is looking at nearly an $8 million needed cut based on the proposed revenue of $35 million that they project will come in from Auditor Laughlin's budget. They need $43 million based on where they want to be, where the department's at, and that is even taking into consideration cuts. They got road and bridge in this proposal or this budget up to about $12 million, which is $3.5 million less than they got a year before. So Laughlin claims the county has been using reserves to increase the road and bridge and sheriff's office funds the last few years, and that these reserves are gone. And it only makes sense with those reserves no longer there to feed those increased budgets. They would go back to where they were before those reserves were there. So the county is actually facing major deficit in 2026. And my question is, how did no one see this coming? If we're using reserves to pay for increased budgets for the most needed departments in the county, surely if those reserves are getting close to being exercised, while you're seeing a decline in sales tax receipts in the county, that surely you would start making plans ahead of time. And so it will be interesting to see in regards to when does Camden County set a budget and what departments will see the largest cuts in 2026, because there is no doubt about it. And sitting in yesterday's or in Monday's meeting, there will be cuts across the board. It was a big mess, really confusing, and most of the questions weren't really answered. And again, we still don't have a budget for Camden County for 2026, and we're embarking on week number 2 of the calendar year.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. And I'm still wondering, have they answered? So they raised with that 2007 tax increase $92 million that was supposed to go to road and bridge, and the sheriffs, it did not. Do we know where all those millions of dollars went? Do they have an answer for that?
We don't. It was noted in yesterday's meeting that Auditor Laughlin said when I came in 2017, this had already been things that had been reappropriated. It's set up by previous commissions, previous auditors, and so no one had asked for him to change that. And so it does seem to be a lot of, I'm not so sure anything nefarious is going on, but it does appear there is a huge lack of diligence, and I'm not just saying currently, but historically in Camden County. And as I start to look at how do we move towards what makes sense, it may be a long path from that. We're going to be probably towards the end of the first month in 2026 before this declining budget, this decreased budget is finalized, rolled out. And then that means that these departments are going to have to be faced with cuts because the money won't be there.
Big time.
Whether that means positions being cut, projects they're working on, initiatives that they have with the community, those won't be funded. And so you're looking at Camden County is up against it in 2026.
Why? If they say the budget last year, Camden County made, I forget what the number was, $40 million, and this year they're only projecting to make $35 million. Why the drop?
So they did explain they are going to be losing some government money. Some funding, like I think ARP funds, were thrown around that they won't be getting. There are other questions, like there's close to $6 million sitting in the account from TCLA funding about where that money goes, how do they access that money. Questions from the Sheriff's Department on not being able to access his general fund, and it's just, I'm just going to be honest, it is a mess at this point in time.
Sounds like it.
Lots of questions. There were a lot of people in the room at the meeting on Monday, and everyone from the commission to sheriff's office to local realtors, local CPAs, financial advisors, everybody was left rather perplexed. You can't really make this stuff up. Like, this is the budget for the county, and we're sitting here like, I don't think anyone has any idea what's next.
Well, you know what? And it seems like, supposedly there's a good group of commissioners and everything in there, and this is still all so screwed up. Nobody knows what's going on. That's infuriating, really.
Yeah, and now you're looking at, do elected commissioners now need to have a background in financials and auditing offices and setting budgets? Because this is very complex, and we learned yesterday, thanks to Commissioner Gohagan, who brought up the budget on a projector, put it on the wall for everybody to see, and question Auditor Jimmy Laughlin out in the open for everybody to see, try to explain this to us, because it is complex. It's not easy to understand. I think I left that building yesterday with far more questions than I had before I walked in there.
You know what? It's so frustrating in our world today that you get things like what's going on in Minnesota, right? I mean, they're talking $9-10 billion stolen from American taxpayers by smallies, but they're helped out by American people stealing money off the top, but they're so good at it, they hide it and it's hard to prove.
Right.
You know, that's really, really frustrating.
Yeah, to the average person that tries to look at a county budget and how it's balanced and how there's actually, they get revenue from 93 different sources. So there are 93 different funds. And then before they pay those out to different departments, departments can be receiving funds from 5 or 6 different funds. They first have to be funneled into those funds and tracked and justified and then paid out again. Very complex. And it would be easy to hide or maneuver without the average person being able to catch it.
Isn't that sad?
It'd be interesting. All right, so hey, our next story, I thought it was interesting. The end of the calendar year, 2025, marked the deadline for local candidates to file for the municipal general election coming up Tuesday, April 7th. Now, of course, in our general municipalities, you're talking mayors, you're talking aldermen, you're talking elected officials in those, and a lot of those are 2 years and some of those are 4 years. So it gets confusing about, hey, who's actually up? And so I wanted to run through Osage Beach, Camden, Lake Ozark, and Camden County just real quick.
Okay.
So for the big one, Osage Beach, we do have Ward 2, Phyllis Moreau's alderwoman being challenged by Stephen George. In Ward 3, it looks like it's an open seat, and it'll be Bill Mackey and Michael Vanella running for that seat. Now, the big one, incumbent Mayor Michael Harmison is rerunning for the seat of mayor. He'll be challenged by former Alderman Richard Ross and local businesswoman Angie Schuster.
Right.
So 2 challengers for the city of Osage Beach mayor. Again, that's for the general municipal election on Tuesday, April 7th. Camdenton, the only challenger will be Bill Jeffries challenging Alderwoman Sandy Gentry. In Lake Ozark, I talked with city clerk Kathy Daniels, and the only challenger, it comes from Ward 2, incumbent Johnny Francesco's rerunning for that seat. He'll be challenged by Tony Otto in that seat. And then the big one, Camden County, coming up, and this isn't for the general municipal election in April, but this is the general election in August. Everybody up is presiding commissioner's seat, Ike Skelton, auditor Jimmy Laughlin, collector of deeds, Mr. Donnie Snelling, collector Teresa Murray, and I believe that the prosecutor seat, prosecutor of Camden County spot, is on that election. So that's all coming in 2026. We start thinking about April, the general municipal election, and then we've got our general and primary election coming in August and September.
So the general municipal elections you talked about, all those alderman seats, the mayor seats, is April 7th. All right, and then the primary election, remember this is, what do they call it, in between the presidential years. So the primary is August 4th, and so all those big things like Ike Skelton, commissioner, prosecutor, that comes in the primary in August.
As well as state rep, I believe.
That's
that
right.
spot as well, and we know Jeff Vernetti rerunning for his seat in the 123rd district. So we'll keep you posted on all of those.
And then the general election, right? The primary is August the 4th. That's where Republicans vote for Republicans, Democrats vote for Democrats. Then the big general election is November 3rd, and that's where we're voting, Democrat against Republican, and then for the big, federal seats too in the House of Representatives, Senate, and all that stuff.
Yeah, notice on that Missouri election calendar you saw on your screen, last day to register to vote for the April election for mayors, aldermen, March 11th, primary election, July 8th, and for that big general election in November, October 7th. So make sure you're registered to vote. So speaking of Osage Beach, also saw they're proposing a 50-cent sales tax increase. They say will fund dispatch, police, and ambulance. The timing is uncanny.
Yeah, with everybody arguing over these tax increases and where the money's gone in Camden County. So this pops up, Osage Board of Aldermen agenda for January 7th, set to discuss proposed tax and vote on putting it on the April municipal ballot that we just talked about. What they're voting to fund equipment to maintain the most up-to-date vehicles, radios, protective gear, technology, and life-saving medical equipment, sounds good, and buildings, maintenance upgrades, expansion of police, ambulance, ambulance and dispatch facilities to meet growing demands. Ambulance base on the east side of the Grand Glaze Bridge to reduce response times. Based on sales tax revenues from the past few years, the city expects the revenues from this new sales tax to be about $3 million a year, right? Give or minus a little bit. Currently, both Camden and Miller counties collect a law enforcement sales tax from businesses within Osage Beach, but none of those funds collected go to the city of Osage Beach, which is fascinating.
Yeah, which makes sense why they would say, hey, if there's going to be local taxes going to support law enforcement, that all goes to sheriffs. We would love some to go back to Osage Beach. Also worth noting that that money would not only go for equipment and buildings, but also salaries listed in that according to Lake Expo. And so they'll discuss that. And if they decide to put that on the ballot, you'll see that on the April 7th ballot on the general municipal election coming up.
And if that is approved by voters, the tax would begin being collected October 1st of 2026. So they would jump right in on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of money. And you think about that, you know, right now the locals trust for half-cent sales tax increase to go towards something they believe is earmarked as dedicated. They're going to want to pay very close attention to the verbiage on the ballot to see what kind of hoops or what kind of outed, because that's what it appears when we go back to that Camden County story, the 07 levy, there was verbiage in there that allowed them to put that money towards other things back under other commissions.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to pay attention to is the verbiage on the ballot when that comes up.
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of Osage Beach, again, City of Osage Beach requests resident assistance with federally required water service line inventory.
Yeah, so this is interesting.
That's the City of Lake Ozark. The one that I was talking about was people were getting mailings from the City of Osage Beach because they were requesting assistance from certain residents to comply with a federally mandated U.S. Environmental Protection Agency requirement to complete a comprehensive inventory of water service line materials.
Yeah, just checking to make sure everything is good and safe and on the up and up. The City of Osage Beach confirms they have no lead pipes in the city-owned water distribution system. Water service line self-identification forms were recently mailed to select property owners. Now those, they want to make sure, you know, if you get those, don't freak out. It's not like anything's wrong. They just want to do this test to make sure they're, you know, they're checking off all the boxes to make sure everything's safe, I guess.
Yeah, the more quickly the information is returned, the sooner the city can finalize the required documentation, and delays in participation will extend the process and require the city to continue sending notices. So if you receive the form, you're asked to complete and send that back as soon as possible. But it's worth noting, don't freak out. There's no problems with the pipes. It's not like there's lead pipes. It's not like there's problems. So don't freak out if you get that notice. I thought getting one of those, you might be a little worried.
Unlike what's going on in Eldon, right? Like, haven't they had like a boil order there for a month or so, right?
As of Monday, it was day 20 of their boil order and had to do with a main break somewhere in Eldon. Of course, we'll continue to follow that story. For those of you in Eldon, we're so sorry to hear about that, but 20 days under a boil order.
Yeah.
And I saw they were having water distribution centers set up Monday night to get water to the public, but that's a huge deal. Kind of slipped under our radar, kind of wild. But gonna hop to our next story. The City of Lake Ozark, they announced plans to revamp their public boat launch located off Bluebird Drive. So they're going to close this temporarily to allow for demolition and reconstruction of the boat ramp. The closure will be in effect January 12th, so coming up next week, through February 16th, weather permitting.
Yeah, and so what this is going to do, better serve the boating community. The new ramp will be 4 feet wider, which is awesome. You know, to back those boats down those ramps is not easy to do. 4 feet wider, 13 feet longer than the current facility. And they do say that, you know, winter weather could back this up. Right now, the dates are, you know, January 12th to February 16th, but that could flow a little bit depending on, you know, if we get big winter storms and stuff, they're going to have to back that up.
Yeah, 4 foot wider, 13 foot longer, pretty cool. And Mayor David Ridgely said we appreciate all the work everyone has done to help these upgrades come to fruition. Our hope is that the new public boat ramp will be a great community asset for years to come. And that's great, having those public boat ramps where people can go put their boat in and out of the water and come enjoy what they come to the lake for to begin with. That's the water, right?
Can you back a trailer down a boat ramp?
Not only can I not, I won't pretend to, and I'll never try to.
I'm with you, man.
I'd be a viral video waiting to happen, and for all the wrong reasons. You know, know.
I'm with you. I've already told my neighbors, who are really good at stuff like that.
Why don't you
If
ask-
I ever need any help, I'm going to come calling.
Ask Andrew how great he thinks I'd be at backing up.
I
a
bet he
boat
could do
trailer.
it though, huh? He's probably good at that.
He would have no issues. All right, so hey, all of you Ozark Law fanatics, the wait is over. Episode 1 debuted Wednesday 7th, depending on when you're watching, at 8 o'clock Central Time on A&E, featuring Osage Beach, Lake Ozark, Sunrise Beach PDs on display with a real-life look at life at Lake of the Ozarks with our law enforcement men and women, with millions of viewers. And season 1, season 2 is sure to be a hit. You gonna finally jump in?
I need to remember to go in and record those. It's on A&E and starts this week, so I need to record those. I'm interested, because remember in the last 6 months we had Sunrise Beach deputy that was arrested, found with like drugs in his car and stuff like that. I wonder if all that's on camera. That'd be fascinating. Or some of these boat, getting chased down by the highway patrol and stuff. I'd love to see that. I don't know if they have cameras out there for that, but that would be great.
Yeah, we'll be watching. So how about you? If you've seen it, what did you think of episode 1 of Ozark Law season 2? And if you haven't seen it, will you be watching? Pretty cool stuff. All right, so something that wouldn't make it in season 2, sad story over the New Year's Eve year-end holiday. According to Lake Expo, a 20-year-old is dead and an 18-year-old seriously injured after a shooting at a New Year's Eve party that occurred outside of Brumley.
Yeah, Miller County Sheriff's Office says the investigation is ongoing. No arrests appear to have been made yet as of the publishing of the story. So the press release by the Miller County Sheriff's Office, Wednesday, December 31st, deputies responded to 1700 block of Highway 42 outside of Brumley, a report of a shooting at a New Year's Eve party. Upon getting there, deputies located a 20-year-old male suffering from a gunshot wound to the upper chest. So he'd been shot already, was still alive. Emergency medical personnel providing aid tried to save him, but he died there on the scene. And then deputies reported that there was an 18-year-old male with a gunshot wound to the abdomen, right? So first one in the chest, he died. This one in the abdomen, he was taken, they found him at a local storage facility, which is weird. But he was taken to a local hospital, later airlifted to University of Missouri. Active investigation, identities of the victims are being withheld. So it's all weird and crazy and almost sounds like these were the only 2 people involved, maybe, and they shot each other or something, so they don't think there's any other, people that need to be arrested or something.
You'd almost have to assume. We'll follow the story. Sad story there. Hey, our next story in regards to Missouri minimum wage increase. Proposition A, which enacted a minimum wage increase to Missouri in 2025 to $13.75, and for 2026 up to $15. Now, initially, there was also a CPI-based increase afterwards based on cost of living, and Governor Kehoe has since axed that, as well as the paid time off requirement. However, this now means that Missouri's minimum wage is $15 per hour. And Uncle Chris, where do you think that ranks nationally?
Ooh, that's pretty high up there, isn't it?
That is tied for 12th.
Wow.
Nationally. I couldn't believe this, that only 24 states currently are at $12 or higher on minimum wage, the highest being Washington, $17.13 an hour. New York is between $16 and $17 an hour for number 2. But there's 31 states above federal floor of $7.25 an hour, while 19 states have a minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. So you Missourians who haven't loved the $10, $11, $12 per hour, don't look to states like Alabama, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, no surprise here, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi. A couple that I was surprised were Pennsylvania, Texas, Wyoming. All $7.25 an hour. I didn't realize there were still places here in the United States where minimum wage was under $10.
I mean, and Missouri's up to 15. This is how fast Missouri's minimum wage went up. In 2015, the minimum wage in Missouri was $7.65. That's almost doubled since 2015 because it's $15 now.
Yeah, it's went up gradually,
Yeah.
765. In 2021, it went from 945 to 1030, 11, 12, 1230, 1375, and finally $15 per hour. People would wonder, is there an end in sight?
Yeah. Top states, as you mentioned, D.C. is just under $18 an hour. State of Washington, over $17 an hour. New York City is $17 an hour. So, you wonder if, like for fast food facilities and stuff, they got to pay this. They can't afford to hire a whole lot of people. I'm wondering if that's hurting businesses in a lot of these places.
Well, that certainly explains why my McDouble and large unsweetened iced tea has gone up this year.
Yeah.
All right, so good news. I want to congratulate all of you and thank you guys who participated in this year's Best Seat in the House contest with our friends right here at Slumberland. We were competing all year long for this pair of recliners you see right here. These two lazy boys.
Those
and
are comfortable too.
Yeah,
huh?
those are the good. Those are the good ones right there, Unky C. And although you did good, finishing third.
I did great. I won the Lake TV championship.
Yeah, that's like being the best kisser at your family reunion. It doesn't count for a lot. Okay, overall, taking the championship, Alma Anderson.
Wow, she was great. She pretty much went wire to wire.
Yeah, 183 points.
Wow.
And she fended off a late push, almost overtaken. They were tied late in the season. Nick Reese in second with 180, and my man, Uncle C, 177. Of course, Alma, you're going to come in and see Daryl and the crew so you can arrange your recliners. Congratulations. Big shout out to our friends at Slumberland at the Lake.
Oh, yeah.
And stay
So
tuned. We're going to do something pretty fun next year. Maybe a little easier. I got to find a league that's easier to join.
Yeah.
And simpler.
And then we need to tell you earlier so you can jump in and join. But we are going to have a
March Madness, baby.
March Madness
bracket
right?
challenge.
Yeah, so be ready for that because that'll be fun.
This will be the first year I ever waxed the floor with this guy, so buckle up for
I'm
that.
always bad at the college
All right,
basketball.
so I want to go over before we wrap up this week.
Yeah.
The NFL playoff bracket is set,
Yep.
right? So we are getting ready for
No Chiefs.
no Chiefs, and we're getting ready for a big weekend of football. And so we've got our brackets, both
Yep.
of us got right. And in the AFC, it looks like we are 3 for 3. We both picked the Patriots, Bills, and Texans.
Right.
How about in the NFC, who you got winning?
Let's see. In the NFC, I've got, let's see, I think I got Green Bay beating Chicago. I got San Francisco upsetting the Eagles. And then I've got the Rams beating Carolina. That would be a minor upset, too.
I've got all the high seeds. I've got I guess the Bears are the lower seed, but I've got them upsetting the Packers.
Right.
Got the Bears winning, the 49ers, and the Rams. And then we both have the Rams and Seahawks.
Yeah.
And I've got the Texans beating the Patriots and the Bills beating the Broncos.
And I've got the Bills making it all the way to the AFC Championship against the Patriots, right? And we're a little different. You've got Houston there, I think. And then I've got the Bills and the Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
I've got the Bills and the Rams.
Woo.
So that's probably you doing that for my benefit. I'll take it. And you've got the Bills falling.
I do. I have Seattle beating the Bills in the Super Bowl. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is Buffalo's turn to win because, they always ran into the Chiefs and the Chiefs always somehow figured out how to beat them, whether in Kansas City or in Buffalo. And so the Chiefs went to all those Super Bowls. Buffalo had to stay home. Chiefs are out now. I'd like to see Josh Allen and the Bills actually get to the Super Bowl and actually win it. That would be fantastic. Might be their last chance because you've got so many great young teams in the AFC coming. I mean, look at the Patriots, look at Houston, look at all these teams. So there you go. So you got Buffalo winning the Super Bowl.
Bills beat the Rams 30-24. Josh Allen wins Super Bowl MVP. And you heard it right here first.
Okay.
That's what I got.
I hope you're right.
Well, until they get beat by Jacksonville this weekend, and
Yeah.
we put that to rest. Hey, so as we wrap up this week's show from 2 Corinthians 5:20, we are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. Again, 2 Corinthians 5:20. That is this week's scripture of the week. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. Not just a cup of coffee, also got some great stuff. My buddy Kirby Leisman.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is wakeboarding genius, right? And so here we are in the middle of winter. We thought we'd have some fun. We'd talk about wakeboarding and surfing and all that stuff. So we got the great Kirby Leisman on the Community Spotlight show this week. I think the last time we had him on a couple of months ago, we had like 30,000 views or something.
Yeah, Kirby is well followed, and we're looking forward to Surf Fest 2026 with State of Mind and the Iguana Marine Group. We'll see Kirby then as well. And don't miss high school basketball back this Friday, and then a lot of Tuesdays coming up as well. That's going to do it for this week's Cup of Coffee from Slumberland at the Lake.